Hello, how you guys doing? James here. Hope you're having a good day. Good morning. Well, hope this video is going to be kind of interesting. It's about this. I can relate to the story because this is out of Ohio, where I'm at. In fact, it's in the same city where I'm at. And this is what happened to this man. And I'm going to give you my story after listen to his story.
Retail traders at Trade Algo who have been seeing an unusual.
Assalamu alaikum. Thanks to all my subs and supporters who watch, like, share, and comment on the videos. It's greatly appreciated. Anybody who would like to support the channel, the link to my book, The N-Word is No Secret in the Service, is in the description of every video. We also have the Runaway Slave store, link in the description. Go grab yourself a souvenir or something like that. Let's cook. Okay, people, this incident here happened less than a month ago in Columbus, Ohio, okay? And this video that you're going to see is an example of how dangerous white American women have been to black men, black families, historically, and currently to this day. And this video is going to be an example of how one white supremacist can change your entire life or get you killed, okay? And at the end of this video, I want you all to get in the comments and let me know what you think about this. Again, people, this took place in Columbus, Ohio. Now, this black man in this video, his name is Michael Jenkins. He's a developer, so he makes a good living. He has a black family. Now, he built a home in one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Ohio. That's what they say. This is one of the best, wealthiest neighborhoods in the state of Ohio. So one day he's home in his truck. I believe that he was admiring his holiday lights or looking at the lights at his house or something like that. I don't know if they were holiday lights, but he's looking at the lights at his house in his truck. And a white woman sees him. I guess she lives in the neighborhood. Her name is Michelle Bishop. So she's in front of his house. Okay. She's got a white child with her, teaching him how to be a white supremacist. These kids usually learn from their mothers. So when she sees this black man, she goes to this house and starts ringing the doorbell to tell on him. She thinks that she's alerting the white neighbors that there's a black man with long hair outside her house, outside the house. But it's his house. It's his house. So she questions him. Do you live here? He says, yes, who are you? She's like, I don't think you live here. Or something like that. Then this woman sprints off yelling, help, 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 trying to get this man killed. She then comes back with her husband or some man, probably ready to shoot, who knows, kill, who knows, I don't know. And when she comes back, she lies, but it's all caught on doorbell camera. And when you watch this video, I want you to listen to the arrogance of this white devil, Michelle Bishop, okay? I had to tell you all that because if you just watch this video, it could be kind of confusing. But it starts off with her ringing the doorbell to tell on him at his house. He's a black man outside his house in his car, and she's ringing on a doorbell thinking that she's telling on him. But all she's doing is ringing his house doorbell.
pull up and I start walking to your back gate. And he stops here and he goes, "Are you looking for someone?" And I said, "No." And then he sat here. And I was like, "I need to get in."
Well, that's my husband. That's why he lives here. Yeah. He lives here. So he came in and said, "There's a lady screaming." And I'm like, that's...
She got all worried.
I'm scared of the crowd.
I'm sorry. I didn't scare you, though.
I just seen her in the driveway and I was like, "Are you looking for somebody?" Because I was pulling up out.
And I saw someone walking in our driveway, too. And I'm like, why is someone walking in our driveway?
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, sorry.
What? She said that that's...
This guy teaches people how to make their first investment in real estate without risking any of their own money. His name is...
She got somebody chased her up here.
Okay, from there?
Like, you came this way, didn't you?
No, I came down this street right here.
Yeah.
And I was riding slow because I'm looking at our Christmas lights.
Well, you just have to understand my point of view. Being by myself with 2 kids, I just saw a car coming, and so I was like, "Oh, it scared me," and so I just pulled up here, and I kept thinking, "This could be his house." But you didn't say, "This is my home." You just said, "Are you looking?" And I was like,
I did. When you was on the porch, you asked me, "Do I live here?" I said, "Yeah."
And you said, no, you don't.
And you said, "I don't think you do."
It was obviously you could tell that I was really caught off guard.
Like, I'm pulling in my... It's like I'm pulling in my house. Like, this neighborhood is probably one of the best neighborhoods in Ohio. You don't have to worry about stuff like that.
Well, I'm very sorry. I really hope that you're not upset with me.
Come on, baby, I'm hostile. Go.
You told me that I didn't. You said you didn't think I lived here.
It was the way that I was talking. I was so caught off guard. I'm so sorry.
Okay, from there? Okay, from there?
You came this way, didn't you?
No, I came down this street right here.
Yeah.
And I was riding slow because I'm looking at our Christmas lights.
Well, you just have to understand my point of view. Being by myself.
Okay, y'all seen that? Do you see how her first reaction was to lie? She didn't care. Her whole thing was, "I'm gonna lie on this man." Still. But it was caught on doorbell camera, so the man's wife know what happened. Then did you see how she just turned into a victim? She immediately, "Oh, well, you have to see my point of view." This lady clearly said, "I don't think you live here." Lying right in front of this man's wife, okay? And the man that she brought back with her. Suppose the man that she brought back with her just really tried to be a superhero and defend her honor, you know what I'm saying? And pulled out a weapon or something like that. I don't know if the brother Michael Jenkins, I don't know if he came out with his gun or what, I don't know, I hope he did. You know what I mean? Look how dangerous it is when a white woman lies on a black man. Would it destroy that black family in a predominantly white neighborhood in Ohio, where some of the worst white people in America come from, that, in my experience. Again, Ohio, Pennsylvania, upstate New York to include Buffalo, what's that, Western, and Florida. Ohio. This lady said you need to understand my point of view. Her point of view is lying. She's a liar with diabetes. You seen a black man. You thought that you were telling your white neighbor on that black man by ringing that doorbell. Then you ran off screaming like a dumb maniac. Look at how she's teaching the white child to be a Satanist as well, a white supremacist. You know what I mean? The reason why this upsets me so much is the fact that that incident right there, it was a thin line between that man living and dying, between his family living and dying, okay? And she would have went and got an attorney, and they would have did everything to twist that situation to make it look like that man did something to her, okay? All because this white woman wants to be nosy, wants to be a racist, and she doesn't think that this man lives in this neighborhood. Terrible. One white supremacist can change your entire life. She tried to change all of her profiles and everything and shut them down, but she's got a business, you know, Michelle Bishop. Yeah, that's her. That's her.
Everything that people are saying about white women is true. It's 100% true. And I'm going to tell you, as a millennial white woman who has completely walked away from everything that she's known in her white supremacy, fucking piss ass feelings, it's true. supremacy-based fucking toxic-ass white families. Let me tell you about those families. When they're not going after gay people, when they're not going after black people, when they're not going after marginalized groups and poor people, they're beating the fucking shit out of white girls in the family. Especially if you're a free thinker.
People, these dangerous white women lies went on during slavery, after slavery, during the Jim Crow era. Got a lot of black men lynched. A lot of black women lynched too. A lot of communities burned to the ground. A lot of times because the woman was lying, and other times they would use these white women they would tell them to lie so that they could say, oh, we have an excuse to do this. You know what I'm saying? And other times these women just wanted to lie. This is part of American history. This is our history. Absolutely terrible. And this Michelle Bishop in Ohio is still doing it, and many others. We've seen this. We've seen these Karens crying in the park and other places and at stores and over electric bikes and stuff like that, making things up in line. You know what I mean? Terrible people. Terrible. What do you all know about this?
Now I'm gonna chime in on this. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and I can relate to this. Well, I say I can relate to the story. What happened to me was the previous place I was living at. I was there for 5-7 years, and one thing I can say, I was coming out to my secondary vehicle.
What can disqualify you?
I was coming out to my secondary vehicle, and I had a little minivan, and I had my car. So my van was around the corner in the same complex, and my other car was there. So I guess some people. This was daylight, and I was about to get some stuff out of my van. I'm getting stuff out of my van, and Clintonville is like north. Where we stay in Clintonville, it's mixed, so it's black and white, and everything else in between. And the reason why I say this is because if I lived on the other side of this, because there's some wealthy parts around Clintonville, like Worthington, and other areas where it's predominantly white, so you probably will stand out, and you can probably give this excuse why when you see some black men walking through the neighborhood or getting stuff out of his vehicle, or some white woman. If I live in Upper Arlington, I can understand. You can probably swing that, but Clintonville in Columbus, Ohio, this happened to me here, and a white woman called the police on me after living someplace for 5 years. And the cop was, he thought it was bullshit because like it don't make no sense. He said, "Do you live here?" He came around his personal car and said, "Yeah." He's like, and he said, "Yeah, someone called and said that and I'm about to say, officer, this is Clintonville. It's the most we're most racially mixed." And the reason why I point this out because some of these Karens come around racially mixed neighborhoods. If you're so scared about black men with dreads, there are areas in Columbus where there's no black men with dreads at. Trust me. Even when I go over I mentioned Upper Arlington, I got a friend, his father stay over there. When I go over there, I go straight there and I stay in there. I do not go around that neighborhood. I go straight there and that's it. Because it could be one over there. And I get kind of hesitant and nervous going over there by myself, even when I leave there by myself, because there was another incident happened, and they kept this quiet here. This white woman had 2 biracial kids, right? And I guess they look more black than they do anything. They called the police on her kids, and they delivering newspapers. They've been delivering, and it probably kind of just shocked them. One black man lived in Upper Arlington. I forgot, this was on the news. They kept this hush hush. He's a businessman. Somebody called him the N-word. So what he's saying is true. And I always tell people there's 2 types of racism. in places like Ohio, maybe the South where you at is directly, but in the North and Midwest we have indirect because they don't want it to get out. Then when you shine a light on it, then people want to cry and say, oh, no, you know better than that. And I would love to say this to the people: if you that nervous in a racially mixed neighborhood and you're white and you have some subconscious thing, you have fucking 88 counties, and I said I've been these counties, so you don't have to worry about looking at people like us. This don't make no sense. It's the truth. This is what this woman did. This Marysville is predominantly white. This Euclid Beach in Indian
Getting a
Beach,
life insurance
predominantly
policy?
white.
With us,
If you feel that damn
If you're
fucking
age
nervous,
45 to 85, we help cover you
seeing a
with
black
no
man,
medical
you
exam.
won't see no black man
Whole
out
life
there.
insurance
Trust
from
me.
United of Omaha Life Insurance Company. Get it.
Imagine going to prison, overcoming being a felon, building a really great life for you and your family, moving your wife and your kids to a really good neighborhood based on your hard work, and then one night you're coming home, you're driving up to your house, you're enjoying your Christmas lights, you're enjoying your nice neighborhood, you're enjoying the fruit of your labor, and then as you get closer to your home, you realize there's a strange woman at your door.
Do you live here?
Yeah.
You do? Papa!
As you get to this home that you're paying for, this strange woman begins to question whether or not you live at that particular house in that neighborhood. And when you respond back with yes, they react in this manner.
I don't believe that.
What?
I don't believe that.
Where are you going?
Rory, come on. Rory, come on.
Imagine how confused, scared, and frightened you would be as you walk up to your own home. A white woman begins to scream at the top of her lungs, help, as she runs away. Yo, you probably thinking, bruh, they about to Emmett Till me, bruh. This is unfortunately what happened to this brother right here called Mike Jenkins. Mike Jenkins was minding his business, and this woman began to scream, terrified, because he answered her yes. Now, she was so terrified, she screamed, ran to one of the neighbors' houses, called the sheriff, then called her husband to come and save her. Now, she told her husband and the sheriff that she was screaming and running because she was being chased by this brother here called Mike Jenkins.
Did someone come here?
That was my wife. She got somebody chased her up here. Chased.
Who chased her?
She said somebody
There
was
was a guy in a gray truck, and he came around the corner, and I was in the street, and so I come up, and I see my kids, and so I'm like gonna pretend that I'm coming home, and so I pull up and I start walking to your back gate, and he stops here and he goes, "Are you looking for someone?" And I said, "Nope," and then he sat here, and I was like, "I need to get in."
Well, that's my husband. That's why he lives here. Yeah. He lives here. So he came in and he said there's a lady screaming, and I'm like, that's.
She got all worried that she
I'm scared of the crap out of me.
How?
I'm sorry.
How did he scare you though?
I kind of wish they would have allowed her to finish whatever she wanted to say, because you could tell she was getting ready to gaslight and totally misrepresent the scenario. And I kind of wanted her to sort of dig her own hole before the husband revealed himself, because as soon as the husband walked out, she started saying, you scared to live in hell? Oh, how did he scare you? He answered with yes. You had your mind made up already. This man was a danger, and nothing he would have said would have reassured you and stopped you from running off like that.
I just seen her in the driveway, and I was like, "Are you looking for somebody?" Because I was pulling up out.
And I saw someone walking in our driveway too, and I'm like, why is someone walking in our driveway?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I would.
I don't.
She said that someone was following her, so you were walking from there?
You came this way, didn't you?
No, I came down this street right here.
Yeah.
And I was riding slow because I'm looking at our Christmas lights.
Well, you just have to understand my point of view. Being by myself with 2 kids, I just saw a car
Oh
coming,
my
and so I
God.
was like, oh, it scared me, and so I just pulled up here, and I kept thinking, this could be his house. But you didn't say, this is my home. You just said, are you looking?
Her husband starts off this interaction by exposing her for lying to him. She told him she was being chased. She wasn't being chased. And then she begins gaslighting. And when the husband comes out, she starts like just lying. She tells him, I mean, you could have said this was your home. But when you asked him,
Yeah.
do you live here? He said, yes,
Right.
I do. And you said, I don't believe you.
There you go.
But she doesn't even account for none of that. She strictly puts the blame on him and says, yo, you could have told me you lived there or this was your home. And the husband had to correct her like, ma'am, I did. You didn't believe me and you ran away screaming and telling people I was chasing you.
It's like,
I did. When you was on the porch, you asked me, did I live here? I said, yeah.
And you said, no, you don't.
And you said, I don't think you do.
His wife heard it.
obviously you could tell that I was really caught off guard.
Like, I'm pulling in my, it's like I'm pulling in my house. Like, this neighborhood is probably one of the best neighborhoods in Ohio.
Let me interrupt right quick. If a criminal is doing something, there's 2 things they're gonna do. They're gonna come at you. You would see it on the camera, and tell when she caught the camera, someone chasing her. 1, 2. Number 2 thing, they're gonna jet up and run. They're gonna get up out of there. There's 2 things a criminal gonna do. So she's full of shit. That's why I say she's full of shit on that one.
You don't have to worry about stuff like that.
Well, I'm very sorry. I really hope that you're not upset with me.
Come on, babe, go in the house. Let's go.
You told me that I didn't. You said you didn't think I lived here.
It was the way that you were talking. I was so caught off guard. I'm so sorry.
She's full of shit. She's full of shit. Again, if someone's breaking the house, breaking the car, what do they automatically do? They run. What are you doing? You run. Or if they come at you, you're gonna see someone chasing after you. And then you'll see it would have caught it on camera. And then she turned around, she pulls a Karen and says this stuff. And number three, if you're a woman with 2 children, would you go with a neighbor or girlfriend or your husband and go walking instead of walking down by yourself at nighttime? If you had this, because she gonna give experience, she had something happen to her. If you were that traumatized, and if I was, walking and scared about walking alone, and I've been jumped or robbed or anything, I'm gonna have somebody with me, other than to walk with my children. Knowing that my children I'm defensive and my child's defensive. So her excuse is no excuse at all.
I was so caught off guard. I'm so sorry.
So obviously they put her on blast. They posted a video on social media. It got hundreds of millions of impressions. They posted flyers and notes all around their little neighborhood about what she did. So because she's getting a lot of backlash, her life right now is pretty much ruined. Her small business have been trashed with bad review. People right now is giving her the worst press ever. So she decided she's gonna take to her social media platforms to explain herself and explain exactly why she did what she did.
And all the things. So I want to jump on here because my Facebook is public, and for those of you guys who are telling me that I owe a public apology, one, I will not apologize for making any sort of racist remark. I am the furthest thing from a racist. I will, however,
Indirect
apologize
racist.
that my expression could ever come across in such a way, or that somebody could think something of that nature of myself and my family. So, long story short, I need to give the context because there's a lot of y'all
who are, I'm sure, coming to my page right now, not like.
But to me, this is beyond race. To me, when I look at this video, race is the least of my worries. I see a man having to deal with false accusations. This reminds me of the viral question that women keep answering.
That's true.
When they ask, would you rather be stranded alone on an island with a bear or a man? And they all said a bear. That's because men, our presence are automatically viewed as a threat. And because we're automatic, the onus is now on us to make you feel comfortable at our expense. In this situation, she lies and says that this man was chasing her. She also lies and says that he never confirmed that he lived at that particular home. And if he didn't have proof that that was a lie, everyone, including his wife probably, would have put the onus on him for not making this woman comfortable enough to where she didn't have to run away.
Right.
Think about it, bruh. If it was a woman driving that car, do you think she would have felt threatened? If it was a woman who answered her, yes, I live here, you think she would have said, I don't believe you, and run away? She wouldn't.
He says, this is my house. And I said, I don't think that it is. And at that point, the only reason that I said that was because truly the awkward encounter of slowing up behind me, talking to us multiple times.
Bruh, these scallywags are scandalous, bruh. Like, literally made the situation impossible for him to navigate. There's nothing he could have done. Your mind was already made up. Him driving up slowly in his own driveway, but still being courteous enough to speak to you guys, still came up as a threat and suspicious. If he would have drove up his driveway slowly behind you guys and not say a goddamn thing, you would have thought he was a threat too.
Right.
I'm in this frantic state.
Yep.
It's late at night. I got my kids, my 2 babies. The lady at the door is not answering. There's no other homes that are well established. I mean, there's construction. It's a corner house. I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, I'm on the front porch. This truck literally is halfway up the driveway. And I was like, my radar was like, nope, I don't think that this is your house. And so I said, I don't believe that this is your house.
Oh, how nice of you to finally remember that detail when you deliberately omitted that from the story, when you told your husband he was chasing you and you wanted people to think that he was a perpetrator and you were the victim.
And so I'm starting to unbuckle Cash, and I grab, and I freak. I go, Rory, run. And so I take off the porch, and I literally run as fast as I can, screaming at the top of my lungs. I'm getting all these messages, I'm so sorry. Screaming at the top of my lung. I've never, ever, ever screamed the way that I screamed. And I'm running through the front yards of everybody, praying that the Ring doorbell would capture us. Finally, to get to a woman's house, I bang on the door. And at this point, I'm dialing 911, and I said, can I please come in? And the woman said, yes, come in. And so I'm standing there, I'm talking to the sheriff, and more than anything, I was not looking for him to come to my rescue at this point. My husband was going to come. I'm in this woman's house. The door is closed. And I tell the man, he said, do I need to come out? And I just said, no. I said, I was just calling to let you know that this just happened. My husband's going to come get me.
This is where I start to smell BS, and it gets really annoying because she's playing in all our faces. This woman wants us to believe that while screaming help, running for her life to a neighbor, she gets on her phone, calls 911, and as she's talking to the sheriff, she tells the 911, hey, I don't want y'all to come out. I just want y'all to know what's going on. So why did you pick up your phone and call 911 if your intentions weren't for them to come out? Of course it was. Of course your intentions was for them to come out. And that's why you were running, calling them as you were screaming help. You wanted them to come and help you because you thought that man was a danger strictly because he was a man, probably with dreadlocks. Who knows?
That's what it is.
But, yeah.
That's what it is.
Her trying to, I guess, admit that and say, no, I didn't want them to come out. I was only calling to let them know what was going on. Says nobody ever. Shows that she understands the context. She understands how dangerous it is to call the police on somebody innocent doing nothing wrong, knowing how a lot of these police interactions turn out.
Right.
And the fact that she knows the consequences and she knows exactly how dangerous her actions was, but still trying to make excuses for it shows this is a dangerous woman.
Right.
And he says, he asked me if I wanted him to come out, and I said no. And so the woman then, I was at her house, she literally asked me and said, she said, I don't know how to ask this. She goes, but was it a black man? Because she goes, it's a black family that lives there. And I said, no, I believe that this is a white man. He was a white man in a truck. A young white man is what I said. And she said, okay. She goes, because that's a black family that lives there. And I said, no, I don't think that it was a black man. And then when my husband got there, I stood out front, and we're still trying to get the Ring doorbell footage of me talking to my husband. But he asked me again, he said, what house was it? And I said, it was this house right here. And he goes, are you sure it wasn't a black guy? He goes, because that's a black family. And I said, no, I don't believe that it was a black man.
Those who are living in the house they paid off are making a huge mistake.
She don't want to admit it. Yes, she do. She do that shit.
You see, there's this wild real estate trick where
it's a black man.
Now, to her defense, could you mistaken this particular brother here for a white man at nighttime? You probably could. Alright, you know, depending how far you are, you could probably look at him at nighttime and figure out, okay, he's probably white. But do I believe that, you know, her thinking that he was white took away all her prejudices? No. Right? Because I believe that somebody like this, who's so stuck up in their own world, could very well be prejudiced towards a white man with dreadlocks. I believe the hair played a factor in her running off and automatically perceiving him as a threat. So her thinking he was white doesn't do anything for me. Alright, you know, she still made a judgment. She was still prejudiced towards whoever that person was that she believed, white, black, Indian, or whoever. And, you know, she almost put that person's life at risk by calling the police on them for doing nothing other than driving up in their own driveway.
And so we get in the car, and we go to pick up the stroller. And I've said this a million times, I have never felt the fear that I had even just pulling up in front of the house when John opened the door to get out of the truck. The amount of, I've never went into fight or flight like that before. And once again, I said, I am so sorry. And they truly, they did not take my apology. And that night, I went home. And so if you guys saw on Instagram, I shared the story twice. The only reason that I shared the story is because I was heartbroken, and it was a really scary night.
This woman, for some reason, thinks she's slicker than what she really is.
Right.
Obviously, the only reason why she took to social media the night it happened was because she understood situations like this usually end up on social media.
Yeah.
So she wanted to take to social media twice that night to get ahead of the story, right? To tell her side of the story, and hopefully, take away some of the damage the story is gonna do when the neighbors decide to blast her on social media.
Right.
You ain't slick, woman.
I've always shared everything on Instagram. And so that night, after that whole instance happened, I literally was sitting on the steps, first of all, and John kept trying to talk to me. I kept telling him I was so sorry, and I've never, just the panic. I literally could not come down from this fight or flight. From the time that I was at the woman's house to literally 30 seconds later, telling the woman that I was just followed to the man stepping out on the front porch and it being his house. It was all of these different emotions. And so I'm sitting at home, literally having this meltdown. And I kept telling John I was so sorry. I felt really stupid. And so on the way home, I forgot to say that the cop was driving around our neighborhood, and I'm getting all these messages, I'm so sorry. The cop was driving around our neighborhood, and I stopped him. We stopped him, and I jumped over, rolled the window down, and I said, I am so sorry. I said, I'm so sorry. I said, it was his house. It was a misunderstanding. I'm so sorry. He was like, it's okay. I'm glad everything's fine. I was like, yes, it's fine. So I ended up...
Okay. Do you want, a Nobel Peace Prize here, lady? So then she continues after, I guess, the logical shtick didn't work. So then she tries to trauma dump on us. She goes ahead and tells us this elaborate story about how somehow an event that took place with her as a child somehow played a factor in her decision making as a fully grown adult this week. So let's check out exactly this traumatic event as a child that somehow played a factor in her decision making this week.
Followed 20 minutes
parents' home and my car was broken into when I was at the store. And when I was a little girl, we had a man banging on our door and helicopters hovering over our home. So, did I overreact? Yeah, maybe a little bit. But I showed up at the door and I said that I was sorry 2 times. People are going as far as saying they're not genuine apologies that amount to get them for whatever reason that is. I don't know how it could be twisted that way when I literally thought he was a white man. So I knew it wasn't going to stop there, but the Facebook page stuff was deleted. Not me ever asking for any of it to be deleted. I made a public apology to them through the video to a whole Facebook page of almost 500 residents in our neighborhood. And then I posted in the comments multiple times when people were just saying, like, disgusting and just tearing down our family's name. I once again came on and I said, if there's ever an opportunity to reconcile, like, I will. I'm so sorry I could have ever offended you.
Listen, we have been hard on her, but I do believe that regardless of whether or not we believe her, I do believe that I guess she has done enough, if we're being honest, to sort of reconcile or make the situation okay.
Now, I understand being a victim of crime because I've been a victim of crime. I had my apartment broken into here in Columbus, Ohio. I had my cars broken into in Columbus, Ohio. Yeah, I can understand the shock. You know, I've had some things, horrible things happen to me when I was young. I understand trauma. But what goes back to what I'm saying, if you have that kind of trauma, why would you want to go out at nighttime and don't take somebody with you if you feel that you're not over it? That's what I'm saying. If you're that traumatized, because this goes back to the same excuse. I used to come across people like this. And I remember one time someone told me, and I don't advocate someone jumping on somebody regardless of, it's been if a black person, a bunch of black people jump on a white person and call them out their name, wrong is wrong, right? You know, but I can say as a black person, I've been called out my name. I've been almost been jumped by some white people. But as I'm up here being traumatized, I have had white, you know, being so-called friends with certain individuals I thought was my friend, and they played the most cruelest prank on me. And really, kind of in a way, it almost got me to a point that I could have been prejudiced. It was so bad. What they did is that I could have turned my heart towards white people. It was that bad. It's like, you know, it's like you don't even want to trust them no more because, like, this is kind of things that they do. Because, see, whatever, and this is what I say about the subconscious thing. What goes in, what they reflect out, and then when you call it out like that, and like they do, they instantly turn to a victim. And as black people, we've been a victim of the most cruelest thing. Someone's been through some cruel shit, and we just weather it and we shake it off, and we go about our business. We used to this type of stuff. We used to what is on the job, what is everyday life, being stopped pulled over by the police. What we experience trauma. You know, trust me. And you can see other people, even when you watch social media, how you see how a black cop react to a certain person, and you see that's trauma just in it enough alone. And then just recently, when it goes to the Justice Department, kind of dismantle it. We've always been through trauma and been a victim of crime, even in our own neighborhoods. So you know, this is some bullshit. You know, that's just life. But no, what if you and these people like this make me so mad. If you think like that, again, this is an inconvert. You could live in predominantly white areas where there's no black people. Trust me, I live in Ohio. I've been all through these neighborhoods. Trust me, there's not a person of color all the way from here to the eastern side of the state, and they got nice neighborhoods. Trust me. And you don't have to see nobody. You have to feel, and you can feel inadequate. You can feel comfortable. But what gets me is when they come into a racially mixed neighborhood with this mindset. That's what pisses me off. Because them the ones, I can respect the ones that say, you know what, I don't want to be around some racially mixed neighborhood. Let the people around me that look like me, that look like my family, that look like me. Let me go out there. I can totally understand that. But this was the case. And then try to direct it. And then when people open up, or all walks of life, white, black, and everything, say, oh, we see what you're doing. Oh, it's not like that. Yes, it is. If you was all that traumatized, you should go out down at night. I'm just saying. I mean, people get robbed and stuff all the damn time. Go through trauma. As black people, we've been through trauma. We know what this shit's like. We know exactly what it's like. But anyway, I want to show you something that this is when I call unconscious racism. Watch what who's this person. This is a white female judge that done this.
You can save up to 20%. Criminal court judge by the name of Caroline Glennon Goodman thought it was a good idea to send a very racist meme to one of her friends. But the rub is she ended up sending it to another judge instead, and that judge reported her. Now the meme is an AI generated meme of a little black boy wearing an ankle monitor. Now it looks like it's from the toy company Little Tikes. It's not. Again, it's an AI generated meme. And with that meme, she put the caption, "My husband's idea of Christmas humor." And it's like, oh, really? Your husband is a racist too? And the friend that you sending it to, they're a racist as well? My thing is, was that other friend another judge that you meant to send it to? Like, what's really going on here, right? Now, of course, many in Chicago are saying, hey, she needs to get up off the bench, which she did eventually resign before they suspended her so they could look into it. But it sounds like she did indeed resign. But my thing is this. What have you been up to in your, time of being a judge? Which wasn't that long, because from 1997, she was a public defender, so which means she should be defending people, right? And she recently won that seat. But it's like the cases that you presided over, which it sounds like most of them were domestic violence cases and things like that. What did you do to those people? Was it unjust? Inquiring minds want to know. So yes, I think they should look far back and see just how she ruled. Was it with racism? Because you're a judge. You're not supposed to be up there being racist. You're supposed to be fair, right? Weigh the facts, this, that, and the other, and make a judgment, a ruling, without racism. And the other thing is, what people aren't saying out loud is, she a Democrat. I know most of the time when we hear stuff like that, yeah, it's from Republicans, but no, she's a Democrat from Chicago, thinking that it's funny that little black boys should be wearing ankle monitors for toys. That's funny to her. So a lot of times people run around, oh, Democrats are the party of the people, and just that and the other. Listen, let's keep it a buck. Chicago is very blue. It is very Democrat. But again, she's sitting up on the bench sharing racist memes from her husband to a friend. That's a problem right there. And I think we should try to find out what do your husband do. Because most of the time, people like her that are judges and lawyers and stuff, they're married to somebody who shares the same occupation somewhere along those lines. Is he in law enforcement? I want to know. Well, like, what does her husband do? And he should be looked into. So she said, my husband's idea of Christmas humor. Well, I don't find it funny. Now, How much are you laughing now that you resigned? And you probably won't get a job nowhere else. I don't know, you might. There's a lot of racists who think that stuff is funny and they hold some power.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to be a long time before you sit on the bench with your racist self. So anyway, y'all tell me what you think of that. If I'm on...
Yeah, Trump might put her on. Might get off her a job, or Elon. Why?
Did you know that your favorite productivity solutions are free for eligible nonprofits? Microsoft 365.
On earth, hair growth oil and hair magic elixir, unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole
worked to keep Greg McMichael, his son Travis, free. She did everything she could to keep them free. And it was not until public outcry over their not even being arrested. And the only one that was responsible for that is this woman, the former DA, Jackie Johnson, who took a series of cell phone calls from Greg McMichael. And I don't think any of us will ever forget the way Ahmaud Arbery was taken out, chased down, just because he went jogging through a neighborhood. He was racially profiled and unalive just for that. So now the McMichaels, they are serving life sentences, and they are serving time for federal hate crime charges. All three men were able to avoid arrest. Greg McMichael and Johnson, they kept in touch by phone. This is according to court records. Nearly 5 years later, Johnson is going to go on trial. I mean, look at how long it took them to bring this woman on trial. 5 years. 5 years. So, Johnson is going on trial on charges that she used her office to intervene with a police investigation of Arbery's death. Jury selection is scheduled for Tuesday in Brunswick, a port city 70 miles south of Savannah. So Arbery was a frequent runner. He would go jogging. You know, a lot of people do that. That is not against the law. That doesn't break any laws. And they said he usually jogged about 2 miles. That was the norm for him. So, of course, he jogged past the McMichaels' property on September 23rd, 2020, and they decided he was up to no good. You know, these people got a lot of nerve. Talk about somebody's up to no good. Y'all got a lot of nerve. And they decided to jump in trucks with their weapons and go after a man that just jogged past their house. Not just any man, a very melanated man went jogging past their house. So the video shows Travis McMichael was the shooter. And, you know, he took the stand and tried to lie about his role in the whole thing, which I thought was hilarious. So when the police found Arbery's body, he was unarmed and he did not have any stolen items on him. Nothing. So instead of arresting the men, the police let them go home. go home. And their excuse for going after Aubrey, they thought he was stealing from a neighboring home that was under construction. Usually when a home is under construction, it's really not much of anything there.
No, it's not.
You know, I just don't know what the big deal was, but
Well, run down with an air conditioner?
this is why I can never have any empathy for the McMichaels. All they had to do was leave Ahmaud Arbery alone. He's out jogging, so what? So what? When did jogging become a crime? Oh, I know. When it's a melanated man, that's when it becomes a crime. So anyway, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation took over the case from the local police. The McMichaels were quickly arrested, and Brian was arrested 2 weeks later. At the time of Aubrey's unaliving, Johnson had served for a decade she was the DA for a decade. In Southeast Georgia, Brunswick Judicial Circuit, Greg McMichael worked for her. So he retired in 2019. Because of that connection, Johnson has said she immediately recused herself. No, she didn't. She immediately tried to help this man stay free. That's not recusing yourself. So a neighboring DA, George Barnhill, became the first of 3 outsider prosecutors appointed to take over. And I remember this dude. He was the one that concluded that it was Ahmaud Arbery's fault. Y'all remember that? Some of y'all might remember.
Mm-hmm.
So Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr ordered an investigation of the 2 prosecutors in May of 2020. Soon after the McMichaels were arrested, Carr said he appointed Barnhill based on Johnson's recommendation, but wasn't told Barnhill already had advised police that Aubrey's killing wasn't a crime. Yeah, I remember that old DA. So anyway, the voters in November of 2020 ousted Jackie Johnson as DA. You know, and I remember that community was real upset with her for how she handled this whole thing. The former DA became a criminal defendant when a grand jury indicted Johnson on September 2nd, 2021. Carr announced his office was prosecuting the case. Johnson is charged with violating her oath of office, a felony punishable for 1 to 5 years in prison, by using her position to show favor and affection to Greg McMichael. The indictment also charges her with a misdemeanor, hindering a police investigation. Yeah, well, she did far more than that, in my opinion. I mean, it was not just any investigation. Somebody lost their life. Alright? And she had directed the police not to place Travis McMichael under arrest. Johnson told the Associated Press in 2020 that no one in her office told police not to make arrests. Well, that's not what they're saying. They said she did tell them and instruct them not to arrest Greg and Travis McMichael. But she's denying it. She's saying she did not do that. Alright. So prosecutors haven't disclosed how much of the trial evidence, but said in court records that there were 16 calls made between Greg McMichael and Johnson in the weeks following the shooting. So You know, I'm at the point I will have to see this woman literally go on trial to believe it. You know, it's just so hard to believe that they're ready to move forward 5 years later. So, potential jurors reporting to the courthouse Tuesday morning will be questioned about what they've read and heard about the case.
Students with ADHD safety.
I'm gonna go ahead and cut this video short. Shout out to Lisa Cabrera on the channel. But yeah, this is something that, you know, and then the other thing, I remember the owner of the property where Ahmaud he had a camera. So they showed Ahmaud go in to the property, and then he walked around, looked, and he took off. They showed this on camera. Did they mention that part? They caught the owner of the property had some kind of camera on the property. So when Ahmaud stepped on the property that picked it up, it showed that he didn't take anything. And that's when he took off. That's when he would continue to go about his business. He was just looking around at the house. He didn't take anything. Didn't take no wood. Didn't take no piping. Nothing. And one time when I was outskirts of Cincinnati, I got pulled over by a Mason police officer. Come out of my job at 4 o'clock in the morning. I delivered some pharmaceuticals, and I had an '87 Chevy Nova. Now, I know it was a construction site somewhere next to, but for some reason, I'm in an '87 Chevy Nova. And you know how an '87 Chevy Nova, it's small. It's a small box car at the time. I'm going back to Cincinnati, down in Cincinnati. He said, the reason why we pulled because we thought maybe you come from the construction site. What construction site? Officer, what kind of equipment I'm going to put in my '87 Chevy Nova? You will see it the something way down, don't you? This is in Mason, Ohio. This is back in early 2000. This happened about early 2000, 2001. This is outskirts of Cincinnati. So the problem is people is such in denial in this country when it comes to stuff like this. But subconsciously, remember one thing before this video ends. There's two types of racism. They have to justify it. And in the Midwest, we indirect and we direct with it, but we have to keep it hush hush. South, they direct with it. It's obviously down there. It's direct, but it's a cover up. And all I gotta say is this. This is the reason why black people feel traumatized. This is the reason why just leave us alone. That's why they say leave us alone. Because in the same problem, what you got a demographic among the vast majority of people can't seem to grasp that it's like you got to do something. It's almost like it's something in their mind to think that these melanated people, they got to be doing something wrong. I mean, it is crazy, and it's the truth. And I made that comment. If you feel all that nervous about some black person, like I said, I can show you predominantly white counties you can stay at. If you think that, and you've been a victim of a black person breaking in your car or being jump on black people, because other white people, God forbid for that, for the ones who, and these are the people who think like this. Believe me, and I mean, trust me, and I can show you some places, and you gonna see a Mexican, an African, a black person nowhere. It's nothing but y'all, nothing but them. The only thing you might do, so you can't use that as an excuse. But when it comes to us, oh, it's an excuse. And this is the reason why we have to point things out. And then when we do something, now this is a guy I saw it in the feed. He gonna probably defend that. It's Officer Tatum. He gonna try to defend that woman who called the police on that black man. I didn't watch this video. Because he used to be a cop. But it's like, yeah, you live in a neighborhood, you get called the cops on. So the moral of that story, if you're a black couple, a black man, you're an interracial couple, you're a black person, be careful in any neighborhood, because people, you might be subconsciously eerie to somebody's insecure feelings. I know that on personal hand. And the thing of the incident happened to me, again, it's a racially mixed neighborhood. And I had an officer say something, a female officer rolled down with a partner. I'm coming from the store one day, and she said, it's like, this is the second time you walk through this neighborhood. I'm coming out of my rental office. This is in Columbus. I looked there like, what are you talking about? And she just went on about it. I'm telling you, yeah, we got some issues here in Columbus. Yeah, they're not. So with the brother, the first, he's not lying. And again, it's a racially mixed apartment complex. But these white-minded people know this shit. I mean, common sense can tell you. That's just what pisses me off. You know this shit. Now, if I can give you some leverage, if I said I'm on the other side of this wealthier neighborhood, and I can say, and I walk through a gated community, and I'm a black person, I can understand that, and I didn't look like presentable. I might give you that, but in a racially mixed neighborhood, come on, man. Since I've been down here, I'm on the south end of Columbus. I've been around predominantly white. Ain't no one called the police on me. And it's medium low class, medium class whites. They don't even do that. They might watch you, but they're not gonna call the cops on you, the sheriff's on you. And they're not gonna come, hey, I never had, and I walked to the store. I never had that problem. So just to be fair, it ain't too really, and just to be fair, but there are some places in Columbus, Ohio, that, and even though it's the most racially mixed in other areas, it's just some of the areas you had to deal with stuff like this. And they keep it, and they hush it up real quick. They hush it real damn quick. Like the case what happened up in Arlington. Yeah. There's people that still haven't adjusted their mentality of a racially mixed neighborhood. They still think they still back in that era. That white neighborhoods. Predominantly white neighborhoods. And I'm just saying to the people who subconsciously think like that, don't worry. We're not coming to your neighborhoods. You have to scare. You can always watch black people on TV. Or when we go to the mall, they're not coming near you. Trust me. We know, we picked this up. And this ain't for everybody, but this is the people who act like this. This woman, she know that. And like I said, as a black person, we've been traumatized by white people. Some of us have. They call us the N-word and everything, racially profile anything. We just take it on the chin. We don't cry about it. We just go about our business. But you see, when they go through something, it's like it's a history lesson. All right. All right then, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry this video was kind of long, but I just wanted to, yeah, this happened in Ohio. And not only Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Kentucky, you name it. New York, Midwest, we're good for that. Some places. And there's more stories out there that people can vouch and they can tell you, I'm telling you the truth. Take care, be blessed, see you on the next video.